Matt. I'm just going to do my introduction and then I'll introduce all of you and then we'll just get into it.
Cool.
Cool?
Okay.
Cool. There's already a problem. Hello and welcome. What is this? There's already an issue. Of course, it's my microphone. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sikes. My name is Sikes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out last month's episode. At this point, I've been a little bit behind. But for those of you who are new to the show and have no idea who I am, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there is beer and soda in the fridge. Right now, we don't have any beer or soda. We have some waters. Feel free to take one if you want one. So I have today here 3 guests that are all involved in the food world on different degrees. And I'm going to introduce everybody now, and then we're just going to have ourselves a fun little chat about music and food and why we do what we do. Sounds good?
Sounds sweet. Great.
Cool.
Yep.
Since you spoke first, I'm going to introduce you. So this is Matt Christie. He is the owner and chef at Streets on Carson in the South Side.
Yes, sir, it is.
And to his right, we have Jamie Schubert. You co-own a catering company?
Rights, actually.
Huh?
Facebook doesn't have my married last name.
Oh, sorry.
It's
I should
okay.
have asked.
It's okay. There was a girl from my high school with my married last name, and right after I got married, I changed my name on Facebook, and I started getting all these like really weird messages, like, "You still owe me money just because you changed your profile picture."
Serious?
Blah blah blah, and I'm like, "What the hell?" Like,
No.
what?
Yeah, you gotta change that up.
I have kept the maiden name for
Holy
internet purposes.
Oh my god.
Of me not owing drug dealers money.
Well, I am really sorry.
It's okay.
Jamie, right?
Rights.
Rights.
REITZ.
All right, rights. Okay. Should have asked.
It's okay.
I was too caught up in trying to figure out what it is exactly that you do because you said you co-own a catering company with your
Yes.
mom. You work for Feed the Scene, and there's some other nonprofit stuff we can dig a little bit more into that. But you make food and you do stuff that is attached with music as well because Feed the Scene
Yes.
is a thing for touring bands that we will get into.
Yes.
Cool. And then to my left, we have Steve LaRosa, who is currently a grill cook at Umami in Lawrenceville and a entrepreneur seeking to eventually open up his own establishment.
Indeed.
And I believe he likes music too.
Very much so.
Cool. So we got music, we got aspiring business owners, we got business owners, we got people that make food for musicians and all that stuff, right? So this is a whole lot of things going on here. And what I kind of wanted to get into, how I wanted to start this conversation off, is just about starting food. And we're starting to get into making food. So we'll start with Matt.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Do you remember the first time that maybe you had made something that you thought was like, oh, wow, like I'm actually like not a bad fucking cook? Like, how did it all start for you being a business owner now?
For start being a business owner and stuff like that, I mean, I just grinded for years. I never did nothing my whole life other than cook since I was a kid. Since I was like 15, it's all I wanted to do since I was like 5 years old. So I was always twiddling around in the kitchen and stuff growing up. And then when I turned 15, started doing it professionally and just grinded it out till I got to the point where I could do my own thing. You know
So
what I
yeah,
mean?
so it was more of it wasn't necessarily like a passion to be a chef, and I don't mean that in like a bad way, but it was just like, this was just what I fucking do, and I got good at it over time.
It was a passion. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't something that just passed the time. I mean, my whole life, I never wanted to be a fireman, cop, astronaut, any of the normal shit kids say. I said chef from the gate. I told guidance counselors I ain't taking foreign language classes, which was stupid at the time, and stuff like that, and as well as typing and all those things that I really needed later on to be like executive chef and shit like that. I passed up when I was younger because I just thought I had to cook. So, I mean, it was a passion since I was younger.
Tight.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jamie? When did you get into doing the cooking thing and realize that I'm okay at it?
I mean, I grew up in an Italian family, so we
There's the answer.
it's in the DNA. There was a meme recently on the internet that when you're seasoning a dish, how does an Italian know when to stop? Whenever you hear your ancestors say, "Enough, child." Like, we don't follow recipes. We just kind of like, throw shit together and hope for the best. And I mean, watching my grandmother make marinara sauce when I was a kid, it was literally like she heard her ancestors in her head. Like, to this day, I seldom use recipes. Mostly everything is either from memory or just do it until it tastes good.
Yeah.
So, never. I can't say growing up that I wanted to be a chef or ever work in food service. I just happened to fall and be really good at it, and I don't know why. Oddly enough, you mentioned it. I wanted to be a firefighter.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you don't want to be a cop. Like, that's all that matters.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a civil servant, and like somehow or another I tripped and fell into music and food. I don't know how that happened, but
I love the concept of like, the fuck the recipe concept, because a lot of that I see parallels to music, because I record and produce a lot of my own stuff. And if I'm like, say I'm cooking a beat, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Like, I already know like what spices I need to put into this beat to make it taste good, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for so long, like I can like, I know by the way that it's sounding, or we'll say the way it's smelling, or the way that the grid looks on the screen, or the way that the sauce is bubbling. I could tell when things are ready in its own sort of way.
Yeah.
Versus like following a recipe and like trying to time things and
the
measure
only
things
time
out.
I ever really use them is with like when I get paid like commission to do cakes. I will with those because like you use the wrong amount of baking soda, the wrong amount of baking powder, you're either gonna have a really big mess or a really ugly cake. So
sure, yeah,
it's and even at that, it's still like you look at it. I mean, and I can look at a cake batter at this point and be like, nope, not right. Like I have to add this, but I still will use like a base recipe at this point. But I mean, even with music though, that's you still have your base recipe. And unfortunately, you still have your verse, chorus, verse, bridge. And
we'll say this: like, if I were to have to take all my equipment and record a country rock band, I'd probably be going back and following some sort of instructions, or looking at some tutorials again, because that's just not what I'm used to. It's outside of my wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
But I know what I'm good at, and then whenever I am working on those things, I just kind of, it's all up here because I've been doing it for so long.
It's second nature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Steve?
So I've always cooked when I was a kid. Like, I was always in the kitchen helping mom out and all that sort of stuff. But even through college, like I had, various jobs in kitchens and stuff like that. Once I graduated, though, I graduated college in the fall of 2008. And it didn't matter what degree you had, you were just not getting a job, period, because the economy was just shit.
Sure. What were you in college for, if you don't mind me asking?
I ended up with a degree in religious studies with a minor in East Asian studies. Okay. But I actually went for international business with a minor in Japanese. Funny how that worked out.
That's really interesting.
real shit. That's interesting.
And we just thought we were cool.
Yeah, it's a long story for another podcast. But yeah, like once I got out, I figured like, well, the thing that I have the most experience in is food. And that's pretty much the only thing people are really hiring for right now is experience. So I figured I'd managed to get my way into the food industry. So I ended up getting a job as a cook in a nursing home in Monroeville. And eventually the head chef there ended up just quitting one day. And I suddenly had like a lot more freedom to do what I wanted in the kitchen. And it was great because like the chef lied to me, like to my face. He's like, "Oh yeah, we do everything from scratch here." No, everything came from a can. I'm just like, no, this is bullshit. So like I ended up fixing up a lot of the recipes, and a lot of the residents at the nursing home really appreciated that the stuff was a much better quality. And I kind of figured like, I could be serving someone their last meal here. Any of these people could just drop dead any moment.
Take pride in what you're doing, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if that's the case, why not make someone's last meal really good? So, once I figured that out and figured that I could do that, I figured, I could definitely make a career out of this, and just kept going.
That's some heavy shit, though, to think about that. Like,
isn't it, though?
like this could be the last one they ever have. Like,
That's a true story. We had a guy had a heart attack in the restaurant I was the head cook at. He had a heart attack in the middle of the dining room, and ambulance came, what have you. And 2 days later, his wife sent me an edible arrangement, which if you're ever going to send anybody anything, send them an edible arrangement. Don't send flowers. You can't eat them.
It's way better.
But yeah, like it was like what you were saying, like it was like literally sitting there. I'm there performing CPR on this guy, and like we're waiting for the ambulance to show up, and that could have been that guy's last meal. Luckily, he did make it.
Oh, nice.
But like it was like you were saying, it was like you get that like cold hard dose of this could be somebody's last meal. Like
I actually had when I lived in Philly for like 5 years, I ran this high-end catering company, and I had this little old lady come in and had me plan her whole wake out, everything. She rented out this classical theater in Ambler, PA, the Ambler Theater, her favorite movie.
That is a great
picked
venue.
the whole menu, all this shit, right? And then like 3-4 years went by, and it was my last year I was in Philly. Like my boss came out and was like, "Hey Matt," he's like, "Remember the thing you planned with the old lady at the Ambler?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "She passed away. It's time to go do the job." And I was like, and I mean like, real
Damn,
shit.
yeah.
Gives me goosebumps now and stuff like that. Like that was wild. And that the lady planned her whole wake out for her and stuff. And then I actually was around long enough that I got to perform it and shit like that. I was like, that's wild.
That's
like, like that alone like blew my mind back then. I was like, that's crazy. That's a real crazy
That's super
thing.
wild. Nobody's ever asked me to like write a song for a funeral or anything like that. I've never been.
It's like
I will keep that in mind.
I've never been asked to perform at anything like that. But hey, who knows?
Hey, there's still plenty of time left.
Our generation's real weird. They'll probably be requesting some crazy stuff. And
Oh yeah.
I won
in the future.
a unicorn mechanical bull at my wake. I want this shit to be fun.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be. You're gonna be seeing.
I get a
You're gonna DJ
I'm
it.
gonna get a go.
I'm gonna be buried in like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles van replica. It's gonna be tight.
That will be amazing.
That's gonna be tight. So now with cooking, I want to kind of focus in on styles because we had talked about that briefly, where I was talking about, I couldn't just make a country rock song or anything like that. I'll start with you, Matt, because the only experience that I have with your food would be the food at Streets on Carson, which is like all over the fucking map in terms of like styles.
But
So where did that come from?
actually, that's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I'm like a classically French trained dude. Like used to do white tablecloths my whole career. Fought people to never make sandwiches. Said I don't do that shit and stuff like that. And then got my chance in my own place. I'm lived in the South Side for like almost like 17 years, and I was like, I know what goes down there. I've served $30 entrees down there. It's a hard go, so I just kind of know my niche and where I'm at. But going back to what you initially asked, like about like following recipes and stuff, it was something I never did, and like now I do like a cool thing where I research all these cultures and all these places all over the world, and then when I find the cool thing in that culture, I research crazy on how it's authentically prepared in that culture. Like just today before I came here, I was ordering some crazy Lakota hot sauce shit from Bolivia. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So like my career changed up a lot in that. Like I was classically trained, did all this shit, like worked in these places, and then now I'm a recipe follower essentially, but not quite. You still make it as dope as you possibly can, and it shows in the end.
Well, I think that's the cool thing is just like Streets on Carson's a really unique experience.
Yeah.
And I think that like obviously something like that would work really well in Southside, but I just think in general in Pittsburgh, like there wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
So
And
it was really cool.
honestly, I was shook. I was like, man, it'll be a year before someone bites my style and opens another street food restaurant, and hasn't happened yet, and I'm almost 3 years in. So I've been fortunate.
Well, I think that there's sometimes when there's certain styles, I think that just like with certain bands, there are some bands that are really good and nobody will bite their style because it's just too hard to bite it.
Yeah.
If you think of a band like the first one that's coming to mind would be like System of a Down, right? Like nobody ever sounded like that band just because they were too all over the place. Like you would need to like, that's not something you can just like copy.
And the thing is, the whole street food thing's hot all over the world, and I wanted a food truck, and the laws in Pittsburgh suck on that. So
do they?
Yeah,
They're
horrible.
awful.
Yeah.
I
Then
wanted to
why do
open
we
one
have
too.
so many food trucks now?
It's,
Then
it's impossible to operate.
They're compliant
So, like,
motherfuckers.
They've actually eased up on the laws in the past couple of years, but they're still ridiculous.
It's getting the permitting.
yeah, sure.
But that easement of the laws a couple of years ago has made it easier for you to actually get one going. But there's still a whole lot of bullshit you have to go through.
Where you
You're
can go,
only
where
allowed
you
to be in
can
the same
operate
place for like 2 hours at a time.
500 feet from a business that
Yeah.
serves the same thing as you. I had some dude try to pull up on the side of my business down there. I had to check like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, what do you think? You're the smartest dude in the world and you don't see no other food trucks down here? You're not allowed on Carson Street. You're not allowed on like Fifth Ave. The way people operate is they have friends that have other businesses.
Oh
and
yeah,
they pull up
they like go to
outside.
like breweries and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You just can't freely
That's what they
maneuver
just
and
opened
operate.
the food truck park down in Millvale.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And even at that, they're only allowed to operate like certain hours. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like they've made it just almost impossible. Like, you know, even getting the permitting now is
Once
so
a
while
year,
they've eased up
January.
on the laws, the permitting is still impossible to get.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, that is rough.
And even now you have to abide by the thing like where if we were both serving the same type of cuisine
Yep.
as food truck owners, we can't park within
Yeah.
so many feet of each
It's
other.
like 500 or something, I remember.
Yeah, and then you're only allowed
years
to be
ago.
in the same location for X amount of hours a week.
You can't
total.
freely operate and move around. Like there's just so many loopholes and shit. And to me, it was like, this is a busted deal. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to do
It's not
it.
worth it.
It's not worth it. So
On
then
top
I
of that,
worked-
there's like no commissaries or anything to support any of the trucks at
real
all.
shit. Me
There's
and
the
my
one.
wife, we were just talking about that because we talk about like opening another spot and stuff like that. We were like, nobody owns a commissary kitchen where all these trucks come and prep shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of
They exist. They're just on the down low.
you know, I would assume so. That's like where it's at. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
nothing like you'd see in like LA or Austin where you get a place that can service like 25, 30 trucks at a
Yeah.
time, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you need to have an actual
Scene.
real, yeah.
Yep.
Very
For
few people in
sure.
Pittsburgh get
It's
that.
because Pittsburgh has prevented that scene from happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny thinking about, and I want to dig more. I don't want to forget about asking about the styles of food that you two are kind of came up in and what you're into. But I'm finding a more interesting thing here where like the Pittsburgh, we'll say the Pittsburgh DIY food scene, this food truck scene is getting like the same kind of a bad rep that the underground Pittsburgh music scene gets, where it's like, it doesn't feel like the city wants people that want to do things outside of the grid. They don't really want it to
Antiquated
work.
laws, and they're not willing to change them.
Yeah.
Or evolve with the times.
Just like silly noise ordinance things and things like that. And there's this whole the Pittsburgh Music Ecosystem Project, which is a thing now that the Cultural Trust is doing.
I've been reading about this.
But it's really just kind of benefiting like the folk band that wants to play it outside at the craft brewery that's surrounded by the houses. You know what I mean? It's not really like
you mean
helping
the
like
Lumineers?
no, I mean, you know,
cover band.
Pittsburgh's Lumineers.
The cover band.
Whoever they may be.
Tribute band. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Whoever they
Tribute.
may be. But it's a lot more benefiting them, and it's not really affecting anything with like nightclubs or people that are in like a hip hop scene or a metal scene or a hard rock scene or punk. Like, you know, they
Something
don't
like
have any interest.
like with the James Street Speakeasy.
That's the
a few
first thing I was
few years
thinking of,
ago,
too.
Like a bunch of people playing jazz in a basement in a great restaurant. Like there's no way that's actually disturbing someone, but someone invoked that noise ordinance crap on them, and the restaurant had to shut down because
Via an antiquated law.
exactly.
All
Meanwhile,
because it's
We
one person.
live in a commonwealth. We don't live in
Yeah.
a state. We live in a commonwealth, and there's only 3 of them that still exist in the United States. And if you look at laws in Virginia, Pennsylvania, or Massachusetts compared to Maryland or Ohio, you look at those laws, like you have to figure Virginia, the border between Virginia and Pennsylvania is Maryland, and you look at the laws pertaining to both of the matters that we're discussing today, and it would blow your mind, like looking at how just antiquated and ass backwards they are.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're preventing the commerce and they're preventing the I don't want to say tax dollars because like it is what it is, but like change the law and maybe you'll benefit from it.
yeah,
That I mean, even if you're like, well, Pennsylvania, I mean, look at our entertainment tax.
yeah.
You're still profiting from it, but you're preventing that tax profit by disallowing things that how much money was the state bringing in off of James Street? And they're preventing it by shutting it down because of a technicality.
One
That is-
shitty neighbor.
Yeah.
One shitty neighbor.
technicality.
Well, there's all kinds of stuff. I
Like,
remember.
how does that happen? How does a business get floored and shut down that's a successful business in a neighborhood where there's not a ton of successful businesses. It's starting to come around now, but it's sad to think that James Street, a place that's been awesome for music, food, everything for years.
But I feel like them shutting down is gonna chase away, like you were saying about opening a second location.
Absolutely.
Are you gonna go to that neighborhood now?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
So all it is doing is that
And I
one
love East
neighbor,
Ohio Street.
that
you know what I
one
mean?
neighbor chased away prospective business.
Yep. And now now the guy owns the place, Carmen, down in the South Side.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, really? He's already out of that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy.
He was working out of 2 other venues too, like
Oh,
just kind of
really?
like he was essentially like, for lack of a better way of putting it, freelancing and not doing that either.
Wow.
I think that, and Kevin is actually somebody I'm going to get on the show at some point in time. If you're watching, I know he watches. I'm going to get you on. But, I think that, there's also like how much bullshit can a person take at the same time, probably could fight it. And I think he did for a while. He probably could have kept fighting it. But, maybe.
He was for like a year from
but maybe
what I
it's
understand.
just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, just throwing in the towel, I guess. There's only so much stress a human being could take or responsibility,
Yeah.
It's
And
rough.
then you force them in the South Side where, basically they're just shutting South Side down.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm like, oh, you want me to go to South Side? There's nowhere for me to park my car.
Right.
Taking an Uber or Lyft from Lawrenceville to South Side is outrageous. They just keep taking away the public parking, and
It's
now
insane.
they're towing everybody, and I'm just like,
And you should see it too. They come down
They roll
at
down
10 o'clock.
deep.
Yep. The Chester comes down like 5 deep flat
I
beds
was
and just
parked-
hooks them all.
I was at a show at the Rex Theater, and one of my friends works there, and he's like, oh, you can park out where the buses park. There isn't any buses or anything
Oh,
tonight. He's
man.
like, just move the barrel. And I was like, okay, fine. And I was outside. I was smoking a cigarette, and I just watched McGann and Chester roll fucking deep. Just start. I mean, and they were hooked and gone in a minute and a half flat, like 90
Unreal.
seconds gone with
And
somebody's
the thing
car.
is,
I'm
that's like-
shit.
It's like $1.50 at McGann and Chester, and then the Jake puts like $1.50 on your car too. So it's like a $300.
And then if it's a
ordeal.
Saturday
Oh
night
my
and it
God.
has to sit there on Sunday when they're closed,
And when you see,
$4.50.
and the funny thing is, it's the people that aren't from around here that don't know it. So it's all these kids from Wexford and Robinson. They're like sitting there at 2:30 in the morning, screaming, pointing at the sign when I'm walking home. Like,
Yep. This is why
we
I
laugh.
just-
We laugh all the time. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like, bro, like, sorry, man. It's gonna be better get that Uber to McGann and Chester and get your car
Yeah.
out for $300.
It's really super duper raw.
Yeah,
They've
it's crazy.
gotten brutal in the South Side lately.
It's been a lot of bad laws. There's finally a dude running against our city councilman and stuff that put all that. So he's been running opposed the past 2 times, and now some guy's running against him.
Nice.
So it's a good thing. Hoping for change.
Hopefully. Because I really miss Dee's Cafe. I'm just saying.
That's my hunt. That's where I'm
I
at.
used to
You can
live
catch me
in
there.
that place. Like the bar still had a permanent imprint of my ass.
Yeah.
Like I'd get off work, I'd go in there still greasy as fuck from the kitchen.
That's it.
And I would just sit there and bullshit with MJ all night.
That's
And
my girl.
And just-
Real shit.
my ass is still probably imprinted there.
Where'd
but
you work at down there?
I didn't work in
Oh,
Southside.
you didn't work. You just came over to D's?
Yes, because
Sick.
I loved that bar.
Yeah. Hey, 350 mini pitchers of Paps all day. You know what I
Right?
mean?
$2 beer of
Say
the
no
month.
more. Say no more.
Tight. All right. So let's get back on a positive. Let's get more into positive things because
All right.
we could probably complain about Southside
Yeah,
for like
yeah,
10
yeah.
fucking years.
I could
But-
go on.
So with Steve and getting into cooking, you mentioned now you take over this kitchen and you're getting to alter some recipes and do your kind of thing. Like where did you find your voice in cooking ultimately? You went from a kitchen in Monroeville at a nursing home, right?
Yeah.
And like now you are working at Umami. And I imagine those
Yes.
are 2 very different kitchens.
Indeed. They're
So-
very different.
And you were talking about how you're looking into like opening up your own place eventually. So
Yep.
like what is that going to be compared to where you are now and where you came from? It's just a very like wild,
Yeah.
like
So I think the best place to start is the place that I'm trying to open up. It's kind of a culmination of all my experience with home cooking and family recipes, compiled with everything that I've learned in the industry. You know, just kind of, rounding it out through the past like 10 years. in Pittsburgh, and the main like theme of the restaurant is going to be soul, American soul food, and it's going to have like a nice like laid back jazz theme and everything like that, and it's essentially me.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm very laid back jazz type person, but it's also an opportunity to showcase everything that I've learned and I'm able to apply in this atmosphere as well as far as food goes.
Sure. So whenever you're cooking, do you think about jazz in that free form? Like,
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah. But I do like other genres too. But, jazz is definitely near the top of the list. I love it.
Cool. And then Jamie, I'm assuming Italian food. That's kind of what you had mentioned, but I could be wrong.
Breakfast food. I love doing like breakfast foods. As simple as they can be, but also as complex as they can be. Like making hollandaise sauce from scratch is probably my favorite thing. Like I will go to any restaurant and just be like, this hollandaise sucks. Like
I'm not even judging. You ask my wife. I judge a good restaurant on a béarnaise.
Yeah.
This is a perfect segue. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm.
No, it's like literally like what I wanted to get into was I think about as a performer, like a musician, when I'm at other shows or if I'm listening to people's music, I can't turn off this criticism in my brain. And I was going to ask all of you about how you deal with that. Because I feel like it has to be inevitable. You're not always eating the food that you make, right?
Yeah.
So when you're eating food that somebody else made, are you able to turn off that criticism? Or do you find yourself very like just judgmental of everything you eat?
It would depend on what it is. If it's something that I don't feel I excel at making, like I love like pans, like anything pretty much pan-seared. I am fucking terrible at doing it.
Sure.
I don't know why I cannot sear a goddamn meat if my life depended on it. But like if somebody else does it, awesome. Yes, but then there's things that I make that I
like a hollandaise sauce.
I make really well. And am I a little critical? The 5-star restaurant downtown at the Omni William Penn, their hollandaise sucks. Just so you know. It's from a box. It's Knorr's.
Oh, God.
Just FYI.
Don't pay money for that kind of suspect stuff. But that's that's actually what I was thinking was that there's degrees to it. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm a hater, like through and through.
Oh, I will tear you apart.
I'll talk shit fucking a mile long. But the thing is like, it's all about what you're paying for. If I'm going to some place and I'm shelling out big money and I feel what you make is subpar, like, yeah, I'll sit there and tear it apart. No, I don't ever say nothing to nobody, but I mean, I'll sit there with my wife and we'll just, but...
you'll talk shit silently amongst yourselves.
Yeah, how it's supposed to be done.
And then you will go home and you will voice your shit on Yelp like a grown-ass millennial adult should.
Oh, man. No, I don't even have a Yelp app. Real shit.
I don't either.
But it depends on what you're paying for. If I'm appreciative of any meal I don't ever touch, but at the same time, like, come correct and stay in your lane. You know what I mean? If I'm going to get a cheeseburger for $10, I know what I'm getting. It's a cheese dip burger for $10. You know what I mean? If I'm going to McDonald's, I know what I'm getting. I'm not going and spending big money on a meal and having you.
Sometimes some of the best meals you have though are from a food truck that you paid $2 or $3 for.
Absolutely.
I'm
being honest with you. Like that's the truth.
Some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life was I barely paid for, and it's like, I didn't pay you enough for this. This is the most delicious thing I've ever put in my face. And
definitely. I feel that pretty much most of my favorite food is like subjectively bad food. I think but I like good versions of it. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
You're gonna ask me like my favorite food, I love sandwiches. I love Thai food and Mexican food. Like these aren't like culinary. Maybe some Thai stuff could be kind of wild. I'm not sure, but I mean, it's a bunch of noodles and veggies and fucking sauce. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like objectively like not classy food. I've never been into that stuff.
That's more like a date night thing with the wife, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But I mean, I'm the king of frozen pizzas and Cadoba, what I ate before I came here. You know what I mean? Like,
I made Count Chocula, which, by the way, I appreciate your shirt. I made Count Chocula and ramen noodles for dinner last night. Like we're talking,
you know what I mean?
the 19 cents a pack ramen noodles. I didn't make no fancy shit.
I ate Velveeta and a cheesesteak while I was drunk. Like that's what
exactly.
That's just the
you
nature
cook food
of
all
what
day,
we
every
do.
day. That's the
Like,
last thing you want to do.
We make all this amazing, glorious food in the restaurant, but we go home. Every last one of us eats shit. I guarantee you.
Cheapest shit ever. And I love it. I love every bit of it. Love every
There's
bit
something
of
to be said for maybe comfort food, would we call it, or just fat ass food? I don't know. Like
Stuff
Sheets
we don't
MTO,
touch.
Sheets MTO saves my life
Yeah.
all the time.
That's it.
But it's funny, but I could still find myself, even though my tastes in food are very lowbrow, I could still definitely be very snotty about the most lowbrow things. I don't know why.
If you fuck up macaroni and cheese,
Sure, yeah.
quit your job.
Yeah.
Just quit your job.
I find I relate a lot to what you're saying, Matt, in terms of if I'm somewhere and I'm out with my girlfriend or whoever, and if I'm paying like $15 for a plate of food, like I want it to be like pretty good. Like I want it to at least taste like somebody gave a shit.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the time, if I'm out and if I have like $10 to spend on food, I probably have 15 or 20, and I'll spend the extra money if it's I know I'm if I'm getting something good and I'm supporting a business at a like I'm fine with that.
I'm willing to pay for good food.
Yeah.
And it like, I mean, I don't know. I would rather pay like you said, like an extra few dollars for something that I know is going to be good, as opposed to like being a cheapskate and getting something that I'm just gonna be like, well, this was mediocre.
Yeah.
Sure. Steve, how are you with judging food that you eat?
I try not to, but every so often I kind of have to. Like there's a few months ago, I went to two of the other soul food restaurants in Pittsburgh, and I figured like, oh, dude, you could probably judge, how good a soul food restaurant is by how they do fried chicken. How are you gonna fuck up fried chicken if you're a soul food restaurant?
Yeah,
I
my
swear to
mom
God,
Day
both of
one
them
shit.
fucked it up. Like,
Sure.
I'm talking like boneless, skinless white meat. I'm just like, no, my God, how are you doing this? Like, and I didn't, like rant about it like on Facebook or anything like that or on Yelp, but like in my head, I'm just like, dude, like,
Wait, did you just say they did fried chicken?
Yeah,
but it was boneless, skinless. What?
White meat. Yeah, yeah.
I know fried chicken.
I know that some people are only going to hear this as audio. I wish you could see the look on my face right now.
Yeah.
Like, those are chicken tenders?
Yeah, like
go to Wendy's.
The skin is the entire
key.
point.
It is
of
the
fried
key.
Chicken. Like, how do you, I get you want to be healthy, but like if there's no such thing as healthy fried chicken, it's still chicken fried in oil. Like.
I'm
The thing
still
is,
trying to
they'll
wrap
pass
my head
that
around
off as
this.
soul food and stuff, and not be like a
Soul food is synonymous
it's
with
big chicken
unhealthy.
tender. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's real wild.
Yeah, I was very disappointed.
After this is over, you have to tell me where this place is so I know to stay away.
Oh, there's two of them, but
Delightful.
yeah. But normally, if I'm going to a restaurant, especially if that style of food is not in my wheelhouse, then I will completely go in with an open mind and empty hands, and just enjoy it.
Now, outside of cooking, do any of us do anything creative or have any hobbies?
I just retired from roller derby.
Nice.
Say
Why'd you retire?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm old as fuck.
Okay, fair
Officially, as of today, derby girls have a shelf life.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's brutal on your body. Torn meniscus, torn Achilles tendon, concussions.
Yeah, that's raw.
Just it's brutal on your body, and unfortunately, I don't work in an industry where I'm offered light duty, or if I were to get hurt in roller derby, I'd be screwed. It's my company's not going to pay me because I got hurt scooting around like an idiot.
Yeah.
But making music and playing roller derby and watching horror movies with my husband.
Yeah.
So just I mean, not even horror, but mostly horror.
It's
'cause
October.
That's who he
officially.
is.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's who he is. He lives and breathes horror. So I occasionally squeeze in a Mean Girls and Sex and the City movie there once in a while, and he bitches about it the whole time. But yeah, just I'm actually I'm like adjusting to life now with time for hobbies because roller derby was the last 5-6 years of my life. It was all consuming.
Yeah.
So readjusting, figuring out what to do. I haven't played in a band or anything in half a decade, so maybe now's the time to do the thing again.
Yeah, you should. What about you, Matt? I mean, I guess being a business owner and
I mean,
you have a small one on the way, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We find out what it is tomorrow, so everything's going to change real soon as of February with everything that goes on in life.
Nice.
But very excited about it. But other than that, like, do my business, and I'm 7 days a week. If I get a chance, I like ride my bike, walk a train track, drink a 40. Like, that's about it. Like, other than that,
Maybe I'm going to try that as a hobby.
Yeah.
I like
hey, I'll
that.
tell you what, it's fun as hell.
Yeah. What about you, Steve?
I'm way into like comics and anime and stuff. I used to draw a lot, not so much anymore. The past few years, I've been working on formulating business plans for startups and just getting better at cooking. But yeah, if I've got a day off with no responsibilities or something like that, yeah, I am definitely sitting around playing Xbox or watching anime or
Pornhub.
well,
It always sneaks
Maybe.
its
Why you
way
gotta do
in.
him like that? Why you gotta do him like that?
It's just who I am as a person.
I'm not gonna say I don't, but yeah, I mean, I just like to chill, honestly.
Yeah. That's super understandable. Now I guess this is going to kind of be something that's more focused for Matt because I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
But this might be something that it'll ping pong. I'm sure we can all contribute to this conversation. So opening a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about, you thought the place that you opened, Streets on Carson, would do well in Southside, right? Like
Yeah.
you had a target demographic in mind. Did you ever think about that when you were starting it, or did it just kind of fall into place?
Oh yeah, no. Like, you got to think about all that shit. Like, I don't know. Like, the restaurant's very me and everything like that, and all my friends and everything like that. But at the same time, like, the money and the pricing and
Like the
stuff
business
like that,
of it, right?
The
Yeah.
business of it, you have to know your demographic. You have to know what you're shooting for. You have to know how much money people are willing to spend. People in Southside aren't coming down to a restaurant to drop $50, $60 on a meal. They want to spend $20, $30. So nothing on my menu is over $15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I keep it at that. You come in, get a drink, get a beer, you're out the door for $25. You know what I mean?
Do you have a problem sometimes? Is there ever anything that maybe you want to do? Because you like rotate menu items frequently enough, right?
Yeah.
Is there
it's
ever
changing a couple and we do
Seasonally.
Halloween and Mother's Day is when I change.
So is there ever anything that you want to do that you stay away from because like you don't think you could sell it at a price point that would meet your demographic?
I'll be completely honest with you. Like, last winter menu, like, I'm dropping my winter menu, like I said, at the end of this month. But I thought I got a little overzealous. Like, I had like my small plates, I had my sandwiches and stuff like that, and then I put a couple salads on there that I serve in mason jars and shit. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Maybe I can put like 2 small entrees on there and people will dig it. So I ran them as specials. And I did this like French lamb stew, this daube, and then I did apple cider braised pork shank, right? Now, these were dishes I used to get like $30 for, $32 for in other restaurants. I was selling them for $19. They ran as specials, were amazing. Like, people bought the shit out of them. So I write them on the menu. They were the biggest failure of my entire career of anything I ever put on my menu, to the point where
I think there's some mental thing with it being a special.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned that. Like, I tried to put just 2 small, see if I could go with putting a couple entrees on my menu. It was a flop, man.
So how does that work as a flop? Is it a flop because like you buy the inventory to make the shit and then it's just sitting around and nobody's...
Yeah, I mean, like, I you know what you should be turning of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't turning like that. Like, I had to get into making like small batches of shit because you got to keep it on hand, and like, I don't freeze stuff and stuff
But
like that.
then when you
So,
run
like,
out of it, people are furious.
yeah. And then like you're always running out of it because you'll catch a night where you sell a bunch of things. You know what I mean? So it was a real reality check, and it was one of like the biggest failures I ever did. And, like nobody would ever see it as a failure, but as me knowing it was a personal failure. It was bad planning.
Well, sure. I mean, also, and plus, if you already have been open for some time, you've seen how other things have done.
And the thing is, not like I never have like dogs on my menu that just like, and that those two were it. And it was like $30 entrees. They're so good, and it was like I sold them for $19 because I didn't want to break 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just made like enough money on it, but like whatever. You live and learn.
Totally.
There ain't none of that shit on this fucking time around. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that for sure. But all that stuff, it shows up. You know, it's that inventory, and it's things on your menu that aren't turning. So
Trial and error.
yeah, and that's it. Live and learn. You know.
With the catering and stuff, Jamie, that you do, what is like the menu that you offer? Is it more like traditional catering stuff, or is it?
So with the catering company that I run with my mom, it's I would say American traditional. It's but we also have like a disclaimer in there that if there's something that you want, we will definitely make it as a trial. We'll present it to you. If you like what we've created, we will make it for you, and we will price it appropriately.
And like,
what have you?
What kind of events do you typically do?
Mostly weddings and stuff like that. But with Feed the Scene, we're given riders typically that, you know, I'm given riders by band X that there's this allergy, there's this food aversion.
It's a lot of vegans.
Shockingly, not a lot. It turns out nobody eats pork anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or white meat chicken. It's just dark meat.
Not that.
But it's we're given parameters X, Y, and Z, and we have to accommodate and create something that we're not creating a meal that is just for you, just for you, just for you. We have to cater it so that it's going to fit in these parameters and please everybody.
Yeah.
So
that seems kind of stressful.
It is. It's been tricky. There's been also like, you know, so Rachel's mom had this recipe for this really, really great rainbow chicken, and it was with chicken breasts, but we had to make it with chicken thighs, and we had to eliminate this and add this because of food, you know, dietary restrictions, whatever. And then, so we were given a rider that was for this group, and one person decided that they were going to go keto and did not convey this. And it was, fuck, you know, like completely redo the damn menu. We got to redo the whole thing, just throw it out, start over. Like, you know, so it's very different worlds working with, you know, both of those companies that I'm given parameters with one, and then with the other one, it's kind of creative control that, you know, it is an American traditional menu, but we make everything from scratch. We don't, you know, I'm not making your mom's recipe. If you're ordering it, we're going to make it. And if you like it, awesome. But I'm not going to sit there and measure out and multiply to make your mom's recipe.
With the Feed Your Scene and
Feed the Scene.
Feed the Scene, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Feed the Scene and thank you for correcting me. I'm an asshole. You're good at this. No, I appreciate it.
Well, if people want to find us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, it's Feed the Scene. We're based out of Baltimore, Maryland.
With Feed the Scene and tour riders and things like that, do you ever have to deal with any like overly diva mentalities?
Dear God. We're not going to name any names, but it has happened. I don't want to say overly, but
so I guess they are paying for a service that you are providing, so they want something.
No, we're actually paying them. So
okay.
Oh.
Well, we do. So Feed the Scene is a nonprofit.
Okay.
People don't pay us. We have catered one wedding. It was a friend of Rachel's. We did her wedding. She loved Rachel's cooking, and so that was the only event that we were really actually like paid for. But we're a nonprofit, so like we book tours. We don't book tours. We book like when bands are coming through Baltimore or DC. We'll book them a show, and then we provide them food and housing. And it's for free. We don't want money.
And you still get diva attitudes.
Well, we recently we expanded our horizons recently.
Fair enough.
And started working with like not high end, Jesus Christ, big name hip hop.
Okay.
And we do get a little bit of it, but not much. We haven't had anything that was really, really, really terrible.
Cool.
We've had one problem person, and he wasn't even one of the artists. He was like one of their entourage, and he was kind of an asshole. And it was just, dude, you're not.
You're that other guy, bro. Chill out.
I don't even know your name. Yes. You are that other guy.
You're the other dude, bro. You need to stay in your lane.
And he tried saying that he was so-and-so, and I was like, no, you're not. I know who that is. Don't take the little white girl as an idiot.
Yeah.
I know who that is. You are not him. I'm sorry. But it's been great. We've nothing but high praise and wonderful compliments from some of the biggest names in hip-hop, which is insane to me that, I have this person being like, that is some of the best food I've ever had. And it's just like, you've eaten at some of the like highest class, fanciest restaurants in the world. And you're saying that that's as good as your mama's cooking. Like, that's one of the compliments. That was as good as my mama's. Like, if you're going to give a chef a compliment, that is it.
Yeah.
That was as good as my mama's. Like, all right, I'll take it. But so we haven't gotten a lot of the divas. Like I said, it's been one real problem customer that sticks out in my head, but mostly we're providing this service for free. And people are just, especially like these like smaller like punk bands that are touring, they're so thankful to have something that isn't McDonald's or from a rest stop that they couldn't care less what it is. It didn't come out of a microwave.
Yeah. So with that, like, where does the money come in to like fund that then? So
that's it's definitely more of a Rachel question.
Okay.
I can barely count to 10.
Fair enough.
If I have to count to 20, I'm taking my shoes off. But in a nutshell, we do the donations.
Yeah.
Right now, we're actually trying to buy the house that we have rented for the last couple years. So there actually is a GoFundMe going right now. And so like some bands will leave, we have a little donations box. It's a black box. It's locked. We have no idea who puts anything in it. People leave us money. And then we book their shows and pretty much anything that comes over, comes in through the door that, venue X is price Y, and anything over that it's mostly going to the bands. To be truthful, a lot of it has come out of Rachel's pocket. It's a labor of love.
Yeah, just getting it off the ground and trying to keep it going for sure.
I mean, nonprofit that we were actually just recently, about a month and a half ago, finally approved for federal nonprofit status.
Yay.
So prior to that, it was a lot of labor of love. It was we were paying for everything and what have you. But I mean, the name is Feed the Scene. That is exactly what it is. Feed your scene, support your scene, whether it be a food scene or a music scene, whatever it is. Support it however you can.
And that's such like a dope thing that like to offer that to those kids out there trying to make it and do their thing and stuff like that, to give them a good meal and a house and stuff like that for a night instead of a van. Like that's fucking dope as hell.
I think
real
it's
shit.
26. We can sleep 26 people. We have 8 sets of bunk beds. And then the couches actually convert into bunk beds. If you go online, you can actually look like on Facebook and what have you. There's pictures. But we can house, I want to say it's 26 people, or is the most, like with air mattresses on the floor.
Yeah.
So there's multiple bathrooms, and it's kind of like
that house has to get fucking crazy sometimes.
It has
26 fucking band members and a house and shit on tour.
So I think the best way it was put is it is a band and breakfast. It's kind of like a band hostel.
That's super sick.
Yeah, but everybody, there's been really no problems. Everybody is so respectful and just so thankful for it that they are respectful as shit.
That's amazing.
And the first rule of Feed the Scene is no spunk in the bunk. The second one is no dying, and then no drugs. Nobody's doing hard drugs. Everybody's being super respectful. Like we have some beers, we bullshit, and other than that, though, it's pretty chill. So
that's it.
Yeah, that does sound awesome. That's really fucking cool. It's super cool to hear about that. With back into Pittsburgh now, since we can't have anything cool like that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right
We're
now.
working on it. I mean, obviously, I live here, but we're working on it. It's a process. There's actually Siren Productions. They are trying to open one here. It's called the Tour House. It's a similar concept. They wouldn't be like the food involvement, but just kind of like a place for touring bands to at least have a place to crash. Like I've certainly taken in quite a few bands that just had a really good reputation, over the years. And it's all right. Well, you're gonna be sleeping on my floor, but by all means, dudes, make yourselves at home.
Definitely. With Pittsburgh and, being a business owner and a soon-to-be business owner eventually.
There was a little chirpy over there.
There was a chirpy?
You said that thing has a 30-minute thing?
Yeah, maybe it will.
Sorry.
My leg fell asleep.
Shit.
Was it that?
It was.
Audio engineer. So bad.
You want to pee?
Do we have time?
You can pee, I don't care.
Okay. If you keep talking to them, I don't care.
Well, it's more of a business owner question anyway,
Good.
so.
I don't know.
Bye. All right, so my question for you two, while we have a restroom break here, is trends in food. Just like with music, you get trends, hot trends in music. And I noticed this in food too, definitely. Do the two of you keep an eye on these trends? With you already being a business owner, do you try to factor those things into whenever you're doing new seasonal menus?
I just try to stay with the season when I'm factoring in menus and stuff. But I do always keep up on what's going on in the world and stuff. And I mean, things always change. That's the one cool thing about food and what we do and stuff like that is that, it's forever changing. Like there's a wealth of knowledge that'll never stop. So, I mean, I always keep up on the trends and how things go and change and stuff like that because everything now is different than when I started doing this years ago. You know what I mean?
It seems like since you've opened the place, at least on the surface, that things are going well enough that you don't necessarily have to compromise what you want to do in terms of the menu. Like you've been just putting out your things and it's working, right?
Yeah.
And there's been places where I've gone and I won't name names, but some people that I know that own restaurants, one in particular that just cannot fucking get it together, always switching up the menu, and it just seems like there's no real passion, and it just seems like you're just trying real hard to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
And
just like music in a lot of ways, bro.
That's exactly what it is.
You're faking the funk, man.
100%. And I feel like, with this place in particular, I find that the situation is the person that owns it wants it to be more of a nicer place. He wants it to be a place where people are going to go and they're going to drop 40, 50, 60 bucks, right?
Yeah.
But when it opened, I could go down there and get a burger, fries, and beer for 20, 25 bucks.
Yeah.
That's what I like, what I mean? Especially as it's a small neighborhood place.
Yeah.
But now you can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's who
You
the
don't
fuck, it's I understand it's probably really hard being a business owner. I've never been a business. I don't know. So I understand probably if shit gets desperate, desperate men do desperate things, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're probably just trying really hard
that's
to
the biggest giveaway, man. When you see people start doing that kind of shit, it's desperation. Next thing you know, you got Groupons, man. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you see a Groupon from them. That's desperation.
But I feel too, it's desperation, and at the same time, I wonder how much of it is ego. It's is it that hard to just go back to just doing simple neighborhood shit? You'll probably have people all around here coming back in here.
But the thing is in all honesty,
it's probably hard to keep a business open too with that kind of shit.
It's 1,000 moving parts. And it's just never stops. Like I told you, it just never stops. You have to love it and have the sickness and be married to the bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you want to have a certain caliber of ingredients or quality of things, you know what I mean?
But that's what it comes down to with changing that shit. I've known a lot of people that can cook really fucking good, but they just don't know how to make any fucking money. You know what I mean? And it's a recipe of a lot of different moving things in life
That's
to
like
be
being in a band.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things and moving parts and things to pay attention to actually be successful. But when you see people like you, the example you gave, like changing stuff and they haven't found their niche and they don't know what they're doing, like if you're trying to figure out your niche while you're trying to operate and you ain't giving yourself any kind of identity whatsoever, like you're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you're a sinking ship. Like, you better hope you figure something out quick because nobody's going to even know who you are. You don't have an identity. Like, you got to set forth who you are and what you're going to do and stuff like that. So if you're changing like that so much, that's bad news. That's real bad.
So
news.
I hope you got it together, Steve.
I'm pretty confident that I got it together.
Yeah,
But
I mean, like real rap. It
He
sounds like you
nailed
got a solid thing. Like you have your direction and you have your vision of what you want to do. You know what I mean? And you just give the best possible product, like you said. No B-size breaded chicken tenders, like that ain't fucking fried chicken, dude.
Yeah,
like,
bush league
bottom
shit, man.
line, you know? It's not. You know, so you have that direction.
Getting back onto some just sort of positivity and maybe for anybody that's still listening that isn't a business owner or a chef or anything like that, let's just do some quick little shout outs of Pittsburgh places. Maybe Matt, if there's anywhere locally that's not Streets on Carson that you might want to give a shout out to that people should check out.
I mean, I'm always a sucker for gaucho. And I mean, that's just like one of my favorite places to eat and stuff. I mean, good grilled meats. But I mean, places that I like mess with, like little places like Kasab's down in the South Side Mediterranean. There's a little Mexican spot on the Bovum Market Square, Las Falas. Me and my wife always get takeout from there. She's pregnant and she loves it. So I've been eating the shit out of some Mexican from there lately. And just little hole in the wall spots.
Yeah, I know it's hard to say.
mean?
There's a lot to choose from. Like, there's a lot of. It's really hard to keep up with all of the independent food places that are in the city. There's a lot of good ones too.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
And it like you put me on the spot. I just started naming shit that I eat on the regular. I mean, but just little hole in the wall spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about you, Jamie?
I work in Lawrenceville, so I live there too, so I spend a lot of time there. Round Corner Cantina, man. Friday afternoons, it is like clockwork. It is like religion. We go there on Fridays for the $10 taco or burrito with the rice and beans. They're fucking amazing. Remedy, but I mean that's just because they have the coldest beer in town. But I'm always trying new things. I just kind of new places are popping up, and some of them are kind of like what you were saying. They're so damn overpriced. It's like I'm paying your rent. I'm not paying for the food that you're providing me. I'm paying your rent, and I am paying for that $1,000 light fixture that you have above every table.
Yeah, there's a place in Lawrenceville that makes good food, but it's a little bit expensive. I'm like, if everything on this menu was like $3 or $4 cheaper, I'd probably feel a lot better about coming here. And I know it's only $3 or $4.
You're paying for the decor, and it's like I don't
yeah.
care if that light was made from a real mason jar or a fancy one from Italy. Like I don't
just want to eat the food, right?
Yeah. I hate that. Like this is gonna sound goofy as shit. One of the best places to eat in Lawrenceville is Barb's Corner Kitchen. That place is a dive, hole in the wall, or Stinkies even down on Hatfield Street.
Yeah,
hole in the wall, best food in town. And the thing is, you're not paying for the decor, you're not paying for the name or the high end, and those are the places I like. That you're paying for that home cooked food. You're not paying for, like I said, that $1,000 light fixture, and I can't find it in myself to do that. Like some places, I'm like, okay, I'll pay it because the couscous industry is amazing, but I hate paying $18.99 for a freaking appetizer of it. But I have it in me because it's that delicious. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather find those hole in the walls, those mom and pop, like you were saying, like looking for soul food. That most soul food places aren't high end pop up joints.
Yeah.
They've been around. This is gonna sound crazy. Probably the best food I've had in Pittsburgh in 10 years some from some guy's yard up in East Liberty.
Oh, I believe it.
You go up, there's those 2 gas stations when you go up Washington, like kind of near the wheel mill. You make that left, go underneath the train tracks. I think it's Kelly Street.
Uh-huh.
And you go underneath the train trestle. There's a guy on the right. He has an old 50-gallon drum smoker. Yeah. It's sketch as fuck. I haven't gotten sick. I'm just saying I've eaten there several times. Oh my God. Like, and I mean, this guy's doing it kind of illegally. So please don't anybody listening report this guy, because if you do, I will find you and I will go full Liam Neeson on you. Yeah. But like, I mean, his food is amazing. And it's just this guy in his yard with a 50-gallon drum that he's smoking and grilling meat in.
Well, I think the point that brings is, something that is a really good point, where I think people do need to take chances on not just like, oh, like I'm going to type, best new restaurant into Google and then go there, or go off of the ratings of what everybody else is saying. I'm sure a lot of those places are great, but I think that you should adventure with food. And
it's like, also, some of these new restaurants, they're so, I don't want to say overpriced, but like they're just pretentious. Yes, they're pretentious. Yeah. And I don't make a lot of money. I'm not one of those hoity-toity, computer techie types. Yeah. I do a labor job, I don't make a shit ton of money. And it's like, if I'm going to give it, I'd rather give it to somebody like you that's building a business or like that guy up in East Liberty. I can't even remember his name, but I just know where he is. I know how to get there, and I'd rather give my money to him, man. He's supporting his family and keeping the dream alive, I guess.
And I'm a big weirdo about that too, about spending my dollar like where it like
where's it really going?
Yeah, like where it's going. I'm real weird about that kind of shit.
Paying somebody's Butler Street, Lawrenceville rent.
Oh yeah,
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, like like a place like you're paying off, like like you said, somebody's light fixture, right? And maybe the people that are working there, like maybe your waiter or your waitress is really fucking cool, but they're probably not getting shit from what you're.
Exactly.
They're not probably making a whole lot of money.
They're still making that $2.83 an hour. Yep. They're not paying them any more generously. And it's like, and the funny thing is, like, living over there, or working over there, and I'm there early mornings, and I see the Cisco truck pulling up. If you know anything about the food industry, you know what the Cisco truck means. It means that they are not using locally sourced produce and farm goods. It's from fucking Cisco.
You know what's real funny?
I mean, absolutely. Get some of your shit there. Like you can't get everything locally sourced, but it's locally sourced butter. The cow's name was Betsy. Like, fuck out of here, man. It's from Cisco.
Yeah, I go to the Restaurant Depot when I stand in the checkout line, and like you get caught up there for a minute. Everyone wears their like chef jackets or the business names of their shirts, and I just stand there like this, and I like watch them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I see all your locally sourced blah 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 shit you have written on your menu right there on the cart from the depot, and I laugh about it all the time. Yep. I'm like, oh, all you guys that sell this stuff are like fresh made, and you have a whole cart full of frozen shit on your cart.
You hand breaded that fish?
Yeah.
With what? The cardboard box it came in? Yeah. Did you shred it?
Real shit. I see it all the time. I'm like,
and that's what I mean.
Man.
I'm the same way. Like I see it. I'm like, the Cisco truck is literally there, just bringing it in. Like, and it's. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Yeah. What you were saying that don't believe these reviews. I mean, maybe believe the reviews a little bit, but don't Google the hottest new trend or restaurant. Go and try it for yourself.
Well, I think that's the best thing to do is if you see something, even if you've never heard of it before, if it looks kind of cool, take a chance on it. It's like
absolutely
what I always tell people about shows. Like there's local shows happening all the time. If you got nothing going on, the show only costs $5. Just go in there and watch the bands. Have some beers. If it's bad, it's bad. Leave.
If anything,
but take a chance. Learn.
Yeah, like do something.
If anything,
learn.
You're either going to hear the best band you've ever heard. You're going to hear the worst band you've ever heard.
Either way, you'll have a story to tell when you leave.
Yeah, and you know what? It's always you've made that band's night because guess what? They got gas money to get to the next city. Or they got money to buy a hot dog from the Flying J on the way to the next city.
And maybe next year they come back and they're better.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the truth.
And people will, always be happy to get that knowledge. Like, hey, I found out about this really cool band. People might be happy to learn about that. But even more so, people will be more than happy to hear your story about how bad a band was because people love stories when you're talking shit.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
I think probably the best band that I've listened to lately that's like, smaller, like, local indie band or whatever was just kind of took a chance on a band and didn't regret my decision. So it's just take a chance, man. What's it going to hurt?
Exactly.
Granted, you can't unhear it, but it's not physically injuring you.
Well, I mean,
to take a chance on a band.
It's like an hour or two out of your night, but there's plenty of hours to come. And like, if you take a chance on a plate of food and it's not good, I mean, it sucks having like a shitty plate of food, but you can always stop at that MTO on the way back and make up for it.
Hell yeah.
Never hurts.
There is nothing better than a schmisket.
That's what they need in Lawrenceville, is the sheets. Oh my God.
Sheets will never build within the city of Pittsburgh limits. There's some fucking ordinance.
Yeah, I heard about that.
They did start delivering to my house recently, and dear God, thank God for Grubhub.
You can Grubhub sheets?
Yep.
We just changed all of our lives.
You can Uber Eats
honestly
Get Go
haven't
now
had
too.
sheets in probably like 2 years. All I got's Gecko, and I mean that ain't sheets.
Nothing is Sheets
There's
or
that-
Wawa.
There's that Sheets right off McKnight Road that's not too
The
far.
one in Babcock.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the one
closest to
I
me,
get my
yeah.
food from.
It has to be. That's
And
the only
it's
one
like
that's
30
even kind
minutes,
of
but
close.
I don't even care. I don't even care. It's still delicious.
What about Steve? I don't want to leave you out of
Yeah.
this contributing conversation.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So, yeah, there's a few places that I want to plug that aren't where I work. I'd say, just like you, I live in Lawrenceville. I'm right around the corner from Bun Me and Tea, and I love those guys.
Yeah, that
Pork
place
and
is
roll
awesome.
and some cafe soda. Like, man, it's a spot every time. But aside from them, all the barbecue spots over in Homewood, love those guys. Like every last one of them, they're great. And I definitely want to plug them because I'm sure you guys have all heard of Sport Pit.
Yeah.
Good idea, but the way it was presented really shat on all those guys in Homewood. And like
I read about this.
yeah, I really want to make sure that people know that there are people in Pittsburgh doing barbecue that aren't Sport Pit, and you should go check those guys out too.
I actually just did a rib festival in Best in Show.
Yeah.
Did you?
Nice.
Congrats.
Sick. Congratulations.
It was Alma Mama. Homemade barbecue sauce from scratch. We were selling out every night, and the other companies couldn't even keep up with us. So
Sweet.
hell
That's
yeah.
what's up.
And it was a locals only rib festival. It was not it wasn't that bullshit down at Heinz Field where
You get, like,
everybody
national
just
people
has
and
their
stuff.
their dick measuring contest with their trophies. It was a locals only. It was small companies, and yeah, we ran it with half as many people and did twice as much business.
That's sick.
Yeah, thank
Congrats.
you.
That's
I guess-
awesome.
thank you.
No, that
Is
is.
that
Yeah.
sick? Is that what the young people say nowadays? I am a senior citizen today, officially.
And I think that's pretty much about it. Like I don't really have much. We could probably keep talking for a while, but we got to cut it off eventually. I
I
want
got
to.
some drinking to do. It is my birthday after.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Happy
right.
birthday
Happy
again.
birthday.
Thank you.
I do want to thank Matt, Jamie, Steve, all of you for coming over and chatting a little bit about food and music and stuff like that. If you please go check out Streets on Carson. If I wasn't sitting in a room with Matt right now and somebody was asking me a place to check out, I have suggested Streets on Carson a lot of times to people.
Always a delicious
I am
meal.
primarily a vegetarian diet. Not 100%, but primarily my girlfriend's vegetarian, so we stick with that. So the places that I can offer tend to be a little bit more limited, but I would definitely shout out Streets on Carson for having great vegetarian options.
11 of them, bro. I've got love for you. Don't worry.
And I think that's about it. So check out Streets on Carson. Please look into the Feed the Scene on Facebook and things like that if you want to learn some stuff.
All of the social media.
All the social medias.
Yeah.
And Steve, you got to keep us in the loop with, what happens, what's to come for you.
I absolutely will. I'm thinking about a year or so. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, I should be up and running.
Yeah, whenever you're
I
ready.
will be first in line.
Nice.
I will be there as well.
Yeah, we'll all
Appreciate it.
come. And hopefully by the time you're ready to open my new food and music podcast here,
And
will
he'll
have
have,
taken off.
your second customer in tow or third customer in tow.
That's right.
Sweet.
Whatever it may be, we find out tomorrow.
I'm going to be anxiously checking your Facebook page.
Hey, check it out.
What is
Check
the
it out.
baby?
There ain't none of them dumb gender reveal things. My wife was like, we ain't doing that shit. I was like, nice. I was like, you're the best, babe.
I feel like I would want to know from the day I got the positive test. Like, all right, what is it?
Well, she was saying to me, she was like, so how do you feel and stuff? And I was, and we were talking in the car today. I was like, listen, up to this point, I was like, I just got to know what I'm doing. I was like, I'm such a control freak. I was like, I got to know what I'm getting into first. I was like, I need to know which direction I'm going here.
Yeah.
You know,
Tutus or Tonka trucks.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. I gotta get my mind right and focus on what's going on. So tomorrow we find out.
Tight. Well, congratulations on that. Happy birthday. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Whole lot of positivity. And we're going to end it on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
And this is an outro. And that's all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. One more time, Matt, Jamie, Steve, thank you all for coming by. I'll be back again next week or the week after. I don't know. Things are really hectic right now. We'll see what goes on, but shit'll be up eventually. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sikes. Start the Beat 2018. Can I get a whoop whoop?
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks for listening.